Ladies and gentlemen, there is a profound truth that few dare to accept. You are holding onto far more than you need. You clutch to old wounds, past mistakes, and fading relationships as if they define you. But they don't. They never have. True freedom begins when you learn to release what no longer serves you, past regrets, toxic relationships, and self-imposed limitations. Yet the very idea of detachment often unsettles people. We are wired to hold on to memories, identities, expectations, believing they define who we are. But in reality, attachment can be a silent prison, one that keeps us bound to pain, fear, and stagnation. Think about the weight you carry. Perhaps it's a past mistake that replays in your mind, a friendship that has long lost its meaning, or an expectation you've placed upon yourself based on societal standards rather than personal truth. These attachments create an invisible burden, one that slows your progress and keeps you from stepping fully into the present. It's natural to resist letting go because we associate it with loss, with giving up. But true detachment is not about losing, it's about making space for something better. Detachment does not mean indifference. It does not mean you stop caring or that you dismiss meaningful experiences. Instead, it means recognizing that clinging to what was, or what could have been, robs you of the only thing you truly have, this moment. Detachment is the ability to acknowledge what has happened, to accept that it played its role in shaping you, and to move forward without letting it define your every step. It is understanding that just because something was once a part of your life does not mean it has to remain so forever. Imagine carrying a heavy bag everywhere you go. At first, you barely notice it. Over time, it begins to strain your shoulders, making each step harder than the last. You convince yourself that you must carry it because it's familiar. But what if you simply placed it down? Would you not feel lighter? Would you not move more freely? This is the power of detachment, the realization that you do not have to bear the unnecessary weight of things that no longer serve you. People fear letting go because they mistake attachment for identity. They believe that if they release certain beliefs, relationships, or roles, they will be left with nothing. But this is an illusion. Detachment is not about losing yourself. It's about reclaiming yourself. It's about shedding the layers of expectations and past conditioning so that you can step into who you were always meant to be. In the process of letting go, you gain something far greater: clarity, peace, and the ability to live life on your own terms. You begin to see that everything in life is temporary, and this understanding does not create sadness, it creates freedom. It allows you to engage fully with the present, to appreciate what is, without the fear of losing it. When the time comes, and it will, choose to let go, not because it is easy, but because it is necessary. Because holding on to what no longer serves you only delays the life you are meant to live. Life exists only in the now, yet most people live as though the present moment is just a bridge between their past and future. They dwell on memories, reliving old mistakes or moments of joy that no longer exist outside their minds. Or they constantly anticipate what's ahead, worrying, planning, and waiting for something better. In doing so, they fail to recognize the simple yet profound truth. Life is happening right now, not yesterday, not tomorrow, but in this very moment. The mind is a restless thing, always seeking to escape the present. When you cling to the past, you carry its weight with you, allowing it to shape your identity, your choices, and even your happiness. When you obsess over the future, you rob yourself of the beauty unfolding before you. You become a spectator rather than a participant in your own life. But the power of presence changes everything. When you truly live in the now, you become aware of yourself, of your surroundings, of the fleeting nature of time. You begin to experience life as it is, not as a series of regrets or expectations, but as a collection of moments, each one an opportunity to engage fully, to feel deeply, and to truly be alive. Consider the way a child interacts with the world. They are fascinated by the simplest things: a butterfly, a puddle, the sound of the wind. They do not carry yesterday's disappointments or tomorrow's anxieties. They exist entirely in the now, embracing life with a sense of wonder. Yet as we grow older, we lose this ability. We become burdened by what has been and what might be, and in doing so, we disconnect from the one thing that is real, the present moment. Being present does not mean ignoring responsibility or failing to plan. It does not mean disregarding the lessons of the past. Instead, it means understanding that neither the past nor the future should have the power to control your present state of being. It means choosing to engage fully with what is in front of you, whether that's a conversation, a meal, or a quiet moment alone. It means allowing yourself to feel without distraction, to listen without formulating a response, to breathe without rushing to the next task. When you master the art of presence, you become lighter, freer. You stop seeking validation from what has been or what will be, and instead, you find contentment in what is. You begin to appreciate the small details, the warmth of the sun on your skin, the sound of laughter, the simple act of breathing, and in doing so, you cultivate a deep, unshakable peace. Let go of the need to rewrite the past or predict the future. Choose instead to experience life as it unfolds, moment by moment. Because the truth is, this moment, right now, is the only thing that truly belongs to you. Everything else is just a story in your mind. Letting go does not mean weakness. In fact, it is one of the greatest acts of strength a person can display. The world teaches us to hold on to relationships, to status, to past experiences, because we fear loss, uncertainty, and change. But real power lies not in clinging, but in knowing when to release, when to step forward, unburdened by what no longer contributes to our growth. The ability to detach with grace, to move forward without resentment or regret, is a sign of deep inner strength. People often mistake resilience for endurance. They believe strength is about how much they can tolerate, how long they can endure discomfort, and how much pain they can bear before breaking. But true resilience is not about suffering. It is about knowing when something no longer serves you and having the courage to walk away. It is the quiet, unwavering confidence that allows you to choose peace over chaos, clarity over confusion, and self-respect over seeking approval. Imagine someone who refuses to let go of a toxic relationship or a painful memory. They carry it like a heavy weight, believing that holding on proves their strength. But in reality, they are only exhausting themselves, pouring their energy into something that drains them rather than uplifts them. Strength is not in how long you can suffer. It is in recognizing when it is time to set yourself free. This silent strength is not loud. It does not seek validation. It does not require recognition. It exists in the way you move through life with ease, unshaken by things that once disturbed your peace. It shows in the way you respond to negativity, not with anger or desperation, but with quiet certainty that you do not need to engage in battles that are not worth your time. It appears in the way you choose yourself, not selfishly, but as an act of self-preservation and self-preservation. Letting go and cultivating silent strength means understanding that some things are beyond your control. It means accepting that you cannot force people to stay, that you cannot rewrite the past, that you cannot predict every outcome. But you can control how you respond. You can choose not to dwell, not to react, not to let external circumstances dictate your peace. There is nothing more powerful than a person who does not need to prove their worth, who does not need to explain their decisions, who moves forward without looking back. This kind of strength is magnetic. It draws people in because it is rare. The world is full of noise, people desperate for attention, for validation, for someone to notice their struggle. But silent strength stands apart. It does not seek approval because it does not need it. It does not demand recognition because it is content in itself. Choose to cultivate this quiet resilience, not by enduring more than you should, but by recognizing your worth and refusing to carry burdens that are not yours to bear. Because real strength is not in holding on, it is in knowing when to let go. Nor are you bound by others' expectations. Yet for most of your life, you have been told who you should be. Society, family, peers, everyone has an opinion on the kind of person you should become. And over time, you begin to adopt these external definitions as your own, shaping your identity around expectations rather than personal truth. But the reality is, You are not a fixed being. You are not limited to a single version of yourself. You are allowed to evolve, to change, to redefine who you are at any moment. Many people feel trapped in identities that no longer fit them. They hold on to old labels, old roles, and old beliefs because they fear what it means to step into something new. They tell themselves, "This is just who I am," but that is a lie. Who you are is not a static concept. It is a constantly evolving masterpiece, one that you have the power to rewrite at any time. The problem is not that change is impossible. It is that people are afraid to embrace it. Think about the people you admire, the ones who seem truly alive, confident, and at peace with themselves. They are not people who conform to outdated versions of themselves. They are people who dared to break free, who chose reinvention over stagnation, who refuse to be defined by their past. They are people who understand that growth is not betrayal, it is a necessary part of living. Many hesitate to redefine themselves because they fear judgment. They worry about what others will say if they change their path, their beliefs, their way of being. But here's the truth. People will judge you no matter what you do. If you stay the same, they will criticize your lack of ambition. If you change, they will question your authenticity. Since judgment is unavoidable, why not live for yourself instead of for the expectations of others? Redefining your identity requires courage. It demands that you let go of the need for approval, that you step into the unknown without a guarantee of how others will respond. But the reward is freedom, the freedom to live a life that aligns with your values, your passions, and your truth. You are not obligated to be the person you were yesterday. You are not required to carry the labels that were placed upon you. You are allowed to outgrow people, places, and patterns that no longer serve you. The moment you realize this, you reclaim your power. You begin to make choices not out of obligation, but out of authenticity. You stop waiting for permission to change. You stop seeking validation for your evolution. You understand that your life is yours to design, and you step into it fully, unapologetically. Let go of the version of yourself that was built to please others. Redefine who you are, not based on the past, not based on expectations, but based on who you truly want to become. Because the only person who gets to decide who you are is you. Most people live their lives according to a script they did not write. They follow expectations set by family, culture, and society, making decisions based on what is considered normal or acceptable rather than what truly fulfills them. They wake up each day, not out of excitement, but out of obligation, going through routines, maintaining relationships, and pursuing goals that do not spark joy, simply because they feel they should. But living this way is not really living. It is merely existing. When you live for obligation rather than intention, your life becomes a series of duties, a checklist of responsibilities that leave you feeling drained instead of inspired. You stay in jobs that do not challenge or excite you because they are stable. You maintain friendships that no longer bring you joy because it is expected. You pursue goals that do not align with your passions because they sound impressive to others. And in doing so, you slowly lose touch with your true desires. But there is another way to live, one that is led by intention rather than duty. Living with intention means making conscious choices, not because you should, but because you want to. It means defining your own path, setting your own priorities, and pursuing what truly matters to you, regardless of external pressures. It requires you to stop asking, "What is expected of me?" and start asking, "What do I truly want?" Living intentionally does not mean abandoning responsibility. It does not mean disregarding commitments or acting selfishly. Instead, it means aligning your responsibilities with your values. It means making choices that reflect who you are, rather than who others expect you to be. It means creating a life that is meaningful to you, not just impressive to others. You must first become aware of where obligation is ruling your life. Look at your daily routines, your relationships, your career, and your goals. Ask yourself, am I doing this because I want to or because I feel I have to? If the answer is obligation, it is time to reassess. It is time to let go of the fear that choosing yourself is selfish. Because in reality, living with intention allows you to show up as your best self, not only for yourself, but for others as well. When you start living with purpose, people will notice. They will see a different energy in you, one that is free from resentment and full of passion. You will no longer feel trapped by expectations because you will be creating your own path. You will begin to experience life as it was meant to be lived, with enthusiasm, curiosity, and fulfillment. Stop living for the approval of others. Stop making choices based on obligation rather than authenticity. Start living a life that is fully yours, guided by your own intentions. Because at the end of it all, the only thing that will truly matter is whether you lived in a way that felt real to you. People often chase validation without realizing it. They seek approval in subtle ways, through achievements, social recognition, or even by conforming to expectations they never question. But when you truly let go, when you stop seeking permission to exist as you are, something remarkable happens. You become effortlessly attractive, not in the way that magazines define beauty, but in a way that draws people in without effort, without force. Silent magnetism comes from confidence, not the loud, boastful kind, but the quiet assurance of someone who knows their worth without needing it confirmed by others. There is something undeniably captivating about a person who moves through life on their own terms, who does not demand attention but receives it naturally. This kind of attraction is not about physical appearance, nor is it about trying to impress. It is about energy, presence, and authenticity. When you are no longer desperate to be noticed, you become impossible to ignore. People sense it when you are at peace with yourself. They notice when you do not need their validation to feel whole. They admire the way you carry yourself, how you listen without the need to interrupt, how you express yourself without the fear of judgment. You do not have to convince anyone of your value because your presence already does that. Think of the people who leave an impression on you. Chances are they are not the loudest in the room. They are not the ones begging for attention. They are the ones who are comfortable in their own skin, the ones who do not chase approval, but instead live in a way that makes others naturally respect them. They do not overshare to gain sympathy, nor do they overcompensate to prove themselves. They simply exist in their truth, and that alone makes them stand out. This kind of silent attraction is not something you force, it is something you cultivate by letting go of the need to be seen a certain way. When you stop explaining yourself, when you stop justifying your choices to people who will never understand, you gain a quiet power. You move differently. You stop feeling the need to prove your intelligence, your success, or your worth, because you know that real confidence does not require external validation. Letting go of the need for validation also changes the way you interact with others. Instead of trying to impress, you focus on genuine connection. Instead of needing to be right, you become open to learning. Instead of fearing rejection, you accept that not everyone will understand you. And that is perfectly fine. The less you try to control how others perceive you, the more naturally likable you become. If you want to be truly magnetic, stop seeking to be noticed. Stop shaping yourself to fit expectations that do not align with who you are. Let go of the need to be understood, liked, or admired. When you do, you will find that the right people, the ones who truly matter, will be drawn to you effortlessly, not because you sought their attention, but because your presence speaks for itself. Life is too short to carry the weight of what no longer serves you. Too short to live according to expectations that are not your own, to chase validation that will never truly satisfy you, to hold on to an identity that no longer fits. True freedom comes when you stop resisting change, when you release what is holding you back, and when you step fully into the present. Without fear of loss or judgment, letting go is not about giving up. It is about making space for something better. It is about realizing that you are not defined by your past, that you are not obligated to be the same person you were yesterday, and that you do not need permission to live life on your own terms. When you stop seeking approval, when you stop clinging to what was, and when you start living with intention, you become truly powerful. You no longer move through life out of duty, but out of desire. No longer bound by the opinions of others, but guided by your own truth. Something remarkable happens. You become lighter, freer, and more at peace. You no longer need to prove yourself, explain yourself, or seek validation. You attract the right people effortlessly, not because you are trying to be seen, but because you are simply being. Step forward. Release the weight of expectation. Let go of what is not meant for you. And most importantly, live. Not for others, not for the past, not for some distant future, but for yourself, fully, unapologetically, in this moment. Because in the end, that is what it truly means to be alive. Force yourself to let go, not tomorrow, not next year, now, because life is happening and you deserve to be fully alive for it. Thank you.